Hi, we're going to be doing notes 4.4 on page 136. So again, this is for me February 2020. Whatever date you're doing the notes on, make sure you write down that date. Okay, we're going to be talking about congruent triangles. Congruent triangles are triangles that are going to have the same size and shape. So this means that all of their corresponding parts are going to be congruent. So corresponding parts of triangles are going to be their angles or their sides. All corresponding parts are going to be congruent. Okay, so congruent statement is going to be when triangles are congruent, we can write a congruency statement. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. Now notice this one went ABC in this direction. You have to start with the one with the single mark, so it's the congruent angles to the sides that they're congruent at. Oh, excuse me. I have double sneezes. I have to pause for a minute. Okay, so you want to name it in the same order of congruence. So by the single mark to the double mark, so you name it in the same order. A valid congruency statement must match all corresponding angles and parts. So a congruency statement has to match all corresponding angles and sides. So right here, I have AB is one side to DE, which has one tick. We have BC has the double tick, and EF has the double tick. Notice they're in the same location in the name. That's really, really important. So here we have this anagram, or this, I can't remember what it's called, like it's not a, like PEMDAS is a mnemonic device, kind of like that, but not exactly. So CPCTC, if we know two triangles are congruent, then we know that every pair of corresponding parts also has to be congruent. So this right here stands for corresponding parts of congruent. I'm just going to use this symbol. I'm going to use the symbol for triangles here as well. Are congruent. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. CPCTC. So again, I would say corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So right here, if I have these triangles and I wanted to name all of the congruent angles, I can name angle J, has to be congruent to, and I can name angle K, has to be congruent to, and angle L. So these are all the angles of this triangle. All the sides of this triangle, if I didn't draw it, I would know that JK is a side, KL would have to be a side, and the third side would be J to L. So what we want to do is if we're naming the congruent parts, angle J has to be congruent to angle P. It's in the same corresponding position. Angle K has to be congruent to angle Q. Angle L to angle R. They're in the same corresponding position. Same thing happens with the sides over here. So JK is going to be the congruent to PQ. KL would be congruent to QR. And JL would be congruent to PR. So you know they're in the same position. I did some highlighters with these. So we would see JK and PQ are right here. We would see KL and QR in the same spot. And then the last one, if I went J to L, would be P to R, in the same corresponding position. Okay, so I want you to take a minute and do that for number 2 over here, and then come back and check it. So the ones we have are angle W, angle X, angle Y. They're all going to be congruent to. And then my sides are WX, XY, and WY. Name the corresponding part. So this would be angle E, angle F, and angle G, WX and EF, XY and FG, and then WY and EG. So if I wanted to write another valid congruency statement, I could do the same thing but maybe in a different order. So I could say triangle, let's call it KJL, would then be congruent to triangle in the same order would be QPR. You could do the same thing over here. I could say triangle, let's call it YWX, would be congruent to triangle. If I said YWX, would be GEF. So there we go. So you just have to make sure you're in consistent corresponding order. Go ahead and fill these in down here if you know this is true. So if I know this right here is true, can I complete the rest of this? KM has to be the same as AC. So if I put a tick mark here on KM, AC would be the same. Now what about CY would be the same as PM. Oh, MP actually. CY, MP if I do it in the same order. So if I put 2 tick marks on CY, I would put 2 on MP. And then if I know PK and YA, so if I put 3 tick marks here, 3 tick marks here, angle Y is going to be the same as angle P, angle K is going to be the same as angle A, angle ACY would be the same as KMP. And angle MPK would be the same as angle CYA. And then YAC would be the same as PKM. And there we go. And again, you can notate all of these. If I know P and Y, I know K and A, and then C, and there we go. So we can notate that whole picture, notate on the diagram, and write those answers there. We have one more page in the notes today, so I'm going to pause and flip to the next page. So again, I like to use highlighters for these to see what's going on. I'm going to say, well, if ST is here, it's going to be the same as BF. ST and BF. And then, so here's BF here. Let's say that I do TW and FN, so TW and FN, and over here I have TW. And then I'm going to have SW is going to match BN, and they're in the same corresponding position. So when I highlight those, I can kind of see those answers right away. I know that TW has to be the same as the yellow, so it's going to be 14 centimeters. BN is the same as SW, it's going to be 9 centimeters. And BF and and TS are the same, 17 centimeters. So again, the colors just help that you can see them once you have the name. If you highlight or put marks on it, it helps you see it right away and you don't have to kind of go back and forth, and it takes a little while to look at it if you don't color code it. So here, if I know this is 82 is N is right here, it's going to match W. So W is also going to be 82. And if I know S is 67, B is going to be 67. Now I can add these together. 82 plus 67. We get 149. So I'm going to subtract that from 180. And I get 31. So I know my leftover angle here is going to be 31 degrees in both of those triangles. So now I can fill this out, and I know W is 82. I know B is 67. And I know F is 31. So again, it's like a little puzzle piece. You're doing one piece at a time, you're filling in everything you know, and then I come back and I answer my questions once I've filled everything in. So go ahead and do that for 5 and 6, and then come back and check. Okay, so with 5, I'm going to highlight everything I see. GH and XY. So here's GH, and here's XY. GH or XY is right there. Okay. I'm going to do HJ and YZ. HJ, Z. There we go. And then I'm going to do GJ matches with XZ, and it's right there. So now hopefully I can fill in those answers pretty well. My orange is 27 feet. My green is 18 feet. And my yellow is equal here. So this will be equal, and they're equal to the orange. So it's going to be 27 feet. Now my angles, if this is 38, this is going to be 38, Y and H. This is an isosceles triangle. If these two sides are congruent, I know the base angles have to be congruent as well. So I'm going to subtract this. I'm going to do 180 minus 38. Let's say 2 at 142. So I have 142 degrees left over for these two. So I'm going to take 142 and divide it in half. And I get 71 degrees. So both of these are going to be 71 degrees, and both of these will be 71 degrees. So now angle H has to be 38. Angle Z is 71 degrees. And angle J is 71 degrees as well. So again, once you fill them in, it becomes a little bit easier to answer them as you go. Okay, this one will be a little bit trickier. It's not asking for the individual values, it's asking you to solve for X and Y. So again, I'm going to match things up. Let me say, well, UV and TS. Here's UV, here's TS. Those have to be the same. I have VW and SR, VW and SR have to be the same. And then UW, what did I do wrong? I did the wrong one. Who caught that? Anybody catch that as I did it? Yes. VW is this green one. My last one is UW, which would be this one here, and TR, which is this one here. So again, if you go through though and you make a mistake, you're probably going to catch it because there's going to be something that's just a little bit wonky. So if you go through right away, hopefully it's easier to catch. So now I want to solve for x, y, and z. I'm going to set up these equations. For my yellow, I'm going to solve it first right here. I'm going to say 3z plus 14 equals 50. I get 3z equals, subtract 14, I get 40. Let me get that. 46. Is that a 14? (46) divided by 3 does not work. I'm going to come back to that one in a minute. My answer over there was wrong too. Okay, so let's do the green. The green here is going to be 5y minus 33 equals 57. So I add 33, I end up with 5y equals 80, and when I divide that by 5, I end up with y equals 16. So that one works. These answers are wrong. 57 plus 33, 90. Sorry, that's 90 divided by 5 equals 6. No. 18. My key from last year was wrong. That's weird. Okay, so again, when we add this over here, you should get 90. You guys have calculators on you and you check your math because I'm going to make mistakes all year long, I promise you. So when I divide by 5, I end up with 18. So do your math by hand, but then go ahead and check it. So the last one we're going to do is going to be the orange side, which is 12x minus 7 equals 53. Add 7, I get 12x equals 60. And dividing that by 12, I end up with x equals 5. So here we go. 50 minus 14 is 36. Divide by 3, and we are going to get 12. There we go. This is what happens when you're doing videos at like 12:40 at night. Apologies. I have one more problem I wanted us to do to end this, and it's question number 8. My suggestion is that you could draw it. I like drawing it, but you can also use your highlighters for everything. So go ahead and see if you can set up these equations and solve for x and y. I'm going to start with something like this. Let's say we have EF here. Here's EF. It has to match KL, which is EF, KL. I don't see a KL. Is that okay? Maybe there's not a KL. Let's try DE. DE is here. It has to match JK, which would be here. That's that part. And then the last one would be DF. So DF is here. And it has to match JL, which is also right next to it. So when I highlight these and I see what matches, EF doesn't have one. I'm not going to use that 23. It doesn't have a match. So I can solve the other two. Let's go ahead and solve the yellow first over here. And I'll solve the green second over here. So I'm going to take 3y minus 21 equals 18. I'm I'm going to add 21 over here, and I get 3y equals 39. Divide both sides here by 3, and I get y equals 13. So again, hopefully you pause when you're working to check it. Pause again if you need to. I'm going to do 9x minus 23 equals 7x minus 11. I'm going to subtract this over to get 2x. I'm going to add 23 over here, so 23 minus 11 will give me a 12. Divide by 2 right here, and I get x equals 6. And again, I have an incorrect answer over here, so maybe check that and make sure it works. I'm going to check it in just a minute. I'm pretty sure that that's correct. Have a fabulous day. I will see you next time. Again, if there are any questions, highlight them, come to class, ask me the questions, come see me in office hours, make sure you understand how to set these up. Have a fabulous day, you guys.